Well, it's official. Damon is cray. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell below, leave a comment. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. The third episode of House of the Dragon, called The Second of His Name, is dropped, and let's get right into it. I will say, just off the top, this is probably my least favorite episode. There's a lot of things in this that are dropping stepping stones, breadcrumbs for the future. But as a episode in itself, until the very end, I don't really. This is the one episode where I don't really get that into the things that are happening. We get another time jump where this is just moving along at a sort of a breakneck pace. Like, I'm not used to having this many jumps within one season of any show, but specifically of the Game of Thrones stuff. But we're now since 3 years post episode 2, where Lord Valyrian and Daemon have made this pact to go and sort of be a war among themselves, and they do, and they're losing. They are using dragons, attacking the crab feeder at the stepstones. But what's happening is every time that the dragon appears, burns up some folks, and lands, the crab feeder and his team dive into the caves. They enter into the caves, and Damon and his fleet don't have a way to into the caves and get them, because they're typically doing this at night. They also have archers that are all sort of protecting everything, so there's no clear way to get in there, and they don't have enough men to do this. This has been 3 years of just constant battle. And in this, King Viserys has not ever sent them any help. He's never put in a little backup to them. He's never, because it would seem like a sign of weakness, because he did not sign off on this war. It would be either a sign of weakness or agreeing to treason, which he doesn't really want to do either. And so he keeps having Lord Hightower in his hand, kind of telling him like, yeah, you can join in, and he is also in agreement of not being able to join in. Amidst all of this, King Viserys is having an issue with Rhaenyra. She is just not paying him any attention, doesn't want to be around him. He already has his first heir boy. Lady Hightower has created a boy and is pregnant again. And so the heir to the throne is kind of already in place. At least from Lord Hightower, he feels that way. Lady Hightower is still standing kind of like, she's still being very kind to Rhaenyra. Nothing has occurred yet that has made her be defiant to her. Rhaenyra, on the other hand, is not reciprocating that. She doesn't respect her. She keeps giving her dirty looks. There's this whole tit for tat. This poor musician is just like caught in the middle, where Princess is like, hey, stay and play music. And Queen's like, nah, you gotta roll out. Princess is like, no, you can stay. And he's like, well, Queen trumps the princess. And she has to refer to her as Queen, because in theory, she is her mother, which is just wild. And I feel like that is going to become more tethered on both parts, but right now it is strictly Rhaenyra being the one that is very defiant to her. And a lot of what Rhaenyra's pain and anguish and upset comes from is that, one, you chose this girl, whereas you keep trying to throw people at me. I am now no longer seen as your daughter or the heir. I am now the piece that you throw a Lannister at to kind of marry off and have kids. I no longer feel like I am your daughter. Whatever we had from that brief moment in episode 2, when we had it, where we seemed like we were getting back on that right page, you picked Lady Hightower, and now our relationship has been strained. And so you keep telling me that I need to go wed and I need to do that, but I don't want to do that. And I don't want you to pick who I do that with. She always feels that she is the princess, but without any teeth. She even says it to her knight that she picked up when she runs off, and he follows after her. He's like, you can't keep doing this. But she just sits there like, I feel like I don't have any type of weight, or anything that I said doesn't matter. And he's like, you picked me, so if nothing else, that sounds like a princess who has some teeth. Much to the chagrin of anybody else, nobody else wanted me. But there's a lot of blow up between King Viserys and Rhaenyra. They just keep going tit for tat, and to the point where she's just like, "You, I don't feel like you give a damn about me anymore. Like I'm not important to you anymore. I'm a castaway. You have your boy. You have your heir. Be damned what happens to me. Marry me off. Get the best offer you can for me, and go about your business." And he's like, "That's not at all what I'm doing." Um, and he's very torn. Like he's had moments where he's talking to Lady Hightower where he feels like he mishandled the situation with his previous wife and the mother of the kid that was not born, but mother of Rhaenyra. He feels that he is somehow can't do anything right. Nobody is on his side. He lost his brother. He lost his daughter. The only person that seems to be there for him is Lady Hightower, which is why I think a lot of the things that Lady Hightower says get a little bit more heard and listened. Unfortunately, as much as King Viserys does care about Rhaenyra, I feel like Lord Hightower keeps putting things in Lady Hightower's ear to deliver to King Viserys that is just going to muck all of this up as it goes along. Because Lord Hightower is very much of the, no, my grandson is the next heir. And Lady Hightower is like, well, technically Rhaenyra is. He's like, no woman's ever going to be there. Or the next person to sit on the throne. It's going to be my grandson. And so there's, as that baby gets older and gets to a point where he is not just putting his hands in oatmeal, as Lord Hightower says, when he becomes actual ability to be a king, this is going to get messy. It's going to get messy quick. And I think because King Viserys has shown that he has no bite really on his own, that he's more of a puppet for other people, he's kind of just sit this out while everybody else is fighting around him. And it's not going to end well. But he does have the combo with Rhaenyra, but Rhaenyra does sort of use a trump card on her, on King Viserys, on her dad, and says like, hey, you keep throwing people at me, and I know you said you were betrothed to mom when you were 10 and 7, but like, you chose who you wanted to marry. Be damned of what it meant or what it was best for the kingdom. Like everybody knows that Lord Valerian's daughter would have been the smarter choice to marry and wed. And you chose to marry somebody you cared about, Lady Hightower. And he's kind of just like, touche, you got me there. So go ahead and wed whomever you want. I'm going to stand this one out. I'm going to let you choose. And for a brief moment, there's a little bit of humanity between them, but there's still a lot of a strained relationship between the two of them. And I think the Lady Hightower Rhaenyra relationship is just done. Like there's no real forming of that. Because, like I said in the last episode, I think Rhaenyra just feels like I don't understand how you got close enough to my father for him to feel like, be damned what's best for the world. I want you. And it seems like whatever friendship they had, she may feel like she was being used, and that as well. Some of that might come out as we go along, but now, as that son gets older, Lady Hightower's care or putting herself out there for Rhaenyra is going to lessen and lessen. It's going to be more about her boy as things go along. All of this comes full circle because after much trepidation and not doing it, King Viserys does decide to send Daemon some help. There's a letter that comes, and he sends back and says, all right, I will send him help. I don't know if it's a matter of Lord Hightower's keep insistence or if it's a matter of like, hey, my brother's in trouble. Maybe I should at least try to help out. Who knows? That's not really clear, but he does finally send help. And this is right when Daemon is flying back in after another battle with using the dragon to do things, clean up, to try to just see where the lay of the land. Lord Valerian and his brother are having a council, and they're like, yo, Daemon is nuts. We're not going to win this. We keep getting flanked. They keep retreating to the caves. We're never going to be able to get this, and we're losing men, and we're losing the desire of even his own men, the Night Watch, to continue on this battle because we don't know what we're doing. And if his own brother won't come help, then what are we doing? And some of that is like Lord Valerian checks his brother, like, hey, shut up. Some of that is because he knows that he and Daemon kind of went out on this limb without King Viserys' say. As Daemon arrives, a note comes in from a messenger saying, hey, yo, King Viserys is going to send a fleet and come help you guys. And it's in that moment Damon snaps and beats the living shit out of that messenger. Some of that is because I think he knew that he had lost everything here. Like he knew that this team wasn't still behind him. And in that moment, after all of this time, his brother finally decides to do him. He beats the crap out of that dude. And then he goes and does the thing that Lord Valyrian's brother kind of said to do. Like maybe of all the people to sort of bring these guys out of the cave, it's got to be Damon. He's the one who put us in this mess. So let's go see if he can kind of get him out. And so he goes to the Stepstones, grabs a white cloth and puts it on the flag and sort of waves the white flag. Sticks it in the sand. He basically gives himself up. And as he does so, the crab feeders team, the Treyarchy, start coming in. There are also archers all over the place, so they're basically tagging this. And Damon's just doing a one man show. He's cleaning house, but like, dude, you're severely outmanned in this. And they're shooting arrows and like they hit him a couple of times to the point where the crab feeder is basically standing there and just telling people to go, and then not really moving far enough from the cave that he can't retreat back. Um, and they're losing. Basically, it's a loss. They've taken an L. This isn't working. And in that moment, Sea Smoke, Mr. Dragon comes in and cleans house, and the Viserys' team comes and they even up things and make it a battle. Dragon takes out the archers. Everything starts laying out, and it becomes an even playing field. And basically, they win. In that, though, Daemon chases the crab feeder into the cave, cuts him in half, and just drags out the upper half with his intestines hanging for the win. It's interesting that Daemon did that because I would feel like Daemon already felt like the win belonged to his brother. He really did anything, but at least he can now say that, hey, sure, with that help, I was the one who did this, I went and did that, but I'm the one who actually ended the crab feeder's reign. I ended him. So if nothing else, we'll sort of wear that as his badge of honor. First time that we got any major action sequence, and it's bloody, it's good. It's shot in the day, which is A1 for me. I can see things. But again, this episode did not do much to advance the story. I mean, we advanced 3 years, but we didn't advance the story of what's actually happening in this. We know that the alliances have sort of become fractured between King Viserys and Rhaenyra and Lady Hightower not really feeling each other. Lord Hightower keeps using Lady Hightower to sort of put sweet nothings into King Viserys' ear. And we're starting to see where people fall in the three kind of factions that are forming. We have Lady Hightower with Otto and her sons, which are going to start taking precedence. Rhaenyra, right now, her knight is with her, so that's one. And then King Viserys is sort of in the middle here, kind of just doing his own thing. Actually, technically four, because Daemon is his own sort of thing. But I think being outcast by both, I feel like Daemon and Rhaenyra may have to form some sort of a truce to continue on. But those are my thoughts. Again, I don't think this is a terrible episode, but in comparison to the other two, which I think did a lot better to kind of keep the momentum going, until the very last 20 minutes, this was a very stagnant episode. But those are my thoughts. What did you guys think about episode 3 of House of the Dragon? Go ahead and leave your thoughts and comments in the comments below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on Twitter at HollywoodADI. You can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name that's on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, any other place podcasts. We're there. And like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.